Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Happy Saturday. Just 1 second. All right. I got a coffee in 1 second. We'll begin. So, hope everybody's well today. Let's go through our baseball where we lost our lock. Shit happens. What was surprising is the Houston pitcher shot Detroit, right? It was 5-0. And had I known he was gonna, with his 5.0 ERA, was gonna, throw a shutout, we would have played under with Scooble. All right, so Detroit loses 25. Philly under 8 is a push. The Yankees win. Atlanta wins. Cleveland over 8. And Cleveland loses. So we lose 25, and 5 is 30, and we win back 15, and we push the Philadelphia 15. So it's this is the problem with baseball in a nutshell, is the using the ERA too much. It's just an average, but we can't get the same consistency we get with Mahomes and Burrow. In other words, I got Verlander today. What do I do with him now? He's had a couple of bad outings, yet he's Verlander. It's like Mahomes. If he has a bad outing, it's because he played Oakland's defense. Okay, we get it. If he played a really tough defense, Colorado against Oregon, USC against Oregon, the Oregon defense. So, Prime Jr. and Caleb aren't going to have good games against that defense. But against a weak defense, you would expect them to have. You would be surprised if they had bad games against a bad defense. That's all I'm saying. And that's what I pointed out with Tagliabue. He would have good games against New Mexico State, Arkansas State, Brother Rice High School. But when he ran into Georgia and LSU and Clemson, he had bad games. And that's where I'm saying, be careful with this guy. Against the better teams, he has bad games. But in baseball, this guy, Hunter Brown, has a 5.5 ERA, and he shuts out the Tigers. I mean, now that's the hard part. And then Skubal gives up 4 or 5 runs. I think it was 4-0. I could see Skubal giving up a couple runs. I don't expect him to shut him out, but anyway. So the Philly game was really fucked. I think it's 2-1 in the 9th inning. And who are they playing? Boston or Atlanta, or who are they playing? Philly's playing Baltimore. And all of a sudden they tie it up and go to extra innings, and then they each score a run in the 10th, and Philly scores 2 in the 11th. That's 4 runs because they put a guy on second base. Is insanity. I mean, that should never have gone over. The stupid second base rule. Otherwise, it's probably neither team scores in the 10th, and then the 11th they maybe get a run and win it. But a 2-2 game in extra innings when you're under 8 should never lose. All right, let's look at today. Oakland Mini. Joey Estes 2-2 at the 4.78 against Bailey Ober. 5-4 with a 5-1-3. You have no idea. Again, it should go over if the pitchers play according to their roles, play according to their ERA. But we don't know that that's what we expect. They could throw shutouts, so they could give up 10 runs. This is the difficult part. So you try to play pitchers that are more familiar with that can do that. Now, here's a game that we like. Cubs -185.8. St. Louis has Andre Peloton, 2-2 at the 4.88 against Shota Managana, 6-1 with the 1.96. So we're going to play the Cubs. We're going to play them for 10 units, just like we did yesterday, just like and we're just going to stick to this. And let's see how much we get. Do we get 70% where the 1.96 pitcher pitches? Ranger Suarez pitched fine yesterday for Philly. He wasn't a problem. The game got pushed in the 10th and 11th innings. Well, Ranger Suarez is out, but it's a 2-1 game. He did his part. So, and again, you kind of get screwed because the other pitcher for Baltimore had a low ERA, and it was an under game. So maybe we prefer this, although that's what we had with the Tigers. We had their ace against the 5, and the 5 beat them. I mean, how often does that happen? Only with the Tigers, of course. So here we'll take the Cubs with 6-1 with the 1.96 against 2-2 with the 4.88 at home. We'll play the Cubs, 10 units. Cleveland, Toronto, I don't have pitching. Philly, Baltimore, Taiwan Walker, 5.40. Grayson Rodriguez, 7-2 with the 3.26. I'm going to go over here just because I think these are 2 good hitting teams, over 8.5, and we'll play this for 5 units. Now, I'm only going to play the games that we should play, not every game and just say, here's who I like. Miami, Washington, Trevor Rogers for Miami, 1-7 with the 5.37 against TJ Hurts, 0-1 with the 6.48. Well, we're going to leave this alone. This should be over, but Miami can't get 3 runs in a game, and neither can Washington, so I'm not going to go over 9. That doesn't fit. The bad pitching against the bad hitting. Probably go over, but we're going to lay that away. California, San Francisco, Patrick Sandoval, 2-8 with the 5.23 against Keaton Wynn, 3-7 with the 6.94. So here I will go over San Fran, over 8, and we'll play it for 5 units. So I'm only going to record the games we're actually going to play. Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Andrew Abbott, 5-5 with the 3.28 against Bryce Wilson, 3-3 with the 4.19. I'm leaving. These are the games I'm leaving alone. I don't know what the 3.28 is going to do and what the 4.19 is going to do. Are they going to pitch to their average, earn run average, or they'll throw a one-hit shutout. I've seen in these box scores, and I look at the box scores every day to see what happened. And I'll see, a one-hitter through 6 innings, and the guy's got a 5 ERA. And I'm like, how can this, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. He should never throw one hit. But because it's an average, that's exactly. And then sometimes he gives up 6, 7 runs. And when you go through the pitchers, and you'll see, 1 run, 1 run, and then a 7 run, and then 1, 1, 1, and then a 6, and then 1, 1. And so you're like, you should get the 1, but there is that 7 and 6 that pop up. That's just team matchup, right? They hit them very well. Tampa Bay, Atlanta. We hit Atlanta. That was a big 10-star yesterday with Chris Sale. That worked. The Yankees worked. The Tigers didn't, unfortunately. But the theory was right. We do it again. We might not play it as high, and being the Tigers. And I looked, they had pretty much their hitting team in. They didn't have Javi Baez in. They didn't have and the other thing I'm noticing is the catchers. I mean, I'll go through probably, how many, 30 teams? I'll go through 20 teams, and the catcher's not hitting 200. What is it with these catchers that can't hit? I don't. Then all of a sudden you get a few that hit 200, but they're all hitting in the 150s. I mean, what the fuck? You can't hit as a catcher? Is that like a new rule? All right. Tampa, Atlanta, Ryan Pipote, 4-3 with the 4.17. Charlie Morton, 3-3 with the 4.12. Probably a good over. We'll go over with this game. Excuse me. All right. We'll go over 2 bad pitchers. Atlanta hits pretty well. We'll see. Detroit, Houston. Jack Flaherty, 3-4 at the 3.22 against Verlander, 3-2 at the 3.95. Verlander's not been Verlander. However, against Detroit, he had a 2-hit, 8-inning shutout. So we're going to go under in this game. Under 7.5. We're going to go 10 units. We got 2 pretty good pitchers. We didn't have any runs yesterday, 4-0. Verlander's ERA is 2 bad games, and Flaherty, pretty good ERA. Detroit, if they didn't hit yesterday, they're not going to hit today. But with Flaherty, a 3.22 ERA, I'm not going to take Verlander, although I think he'll win. The rule of thumb is if a team like Houston beats the ace, Skubik, on Detroit, then they'll probably beat all the others because they've got Conway. Hey, we beat the ace. Sort of like if you beat Verlander, you feel like you're going to win the rest in the series. So we're going to go under here. San Diego and the Mets. Holy shit. Adam Azor overwhelmed with a 9 ERA against Jose Quintana, 1-5 with a 5.29. So we got to go over here. San Diego over 8.5, 5 unit. The Yanks in Boston. The Yanks got the win. Rodon, 9-2 at the 2.93. Cooper Criswell, 3-3 with the 4. We got to take the Yanks, 5 units. Texas, Seattle, Uvalde, 3-2 at the 2.68. George Kirby, 5-5. Now here's the problem: the over/under on the game is 6.5. Neither team's hitting. And at 7.5, I'd go under. At 6.5, this is like an Iowa 32 in college football. I mean, it's such a low. It'll probably go under, but I can't bet 6.5. KC and the Dodgers. Seth Lugo, 9-2 at the 2.36, and Yamadana for the Dodgers, 6-2. So we're gonna go KC under 8, and we'll make this 10 units. And Pittsburgh, Colorado. Jared Jones, 4-5 at the 3.27. Ty Black, 2-4 at the 4.84. It's in Colorado, 10.5. do with it with Pittsburgh's offense. And the last one's the White Sox, Arizona. I had this a couple days ago. Yeah, I had Arizona over 8. They got over. Here they're 8.5. Eric Feedy, 4-1 with a 3.10 is pretty good. Scott Magoo, 1-3. I'm not interested. So your plays are the Cubs for 10 units, Philly over 8.5 for 5, the 49ers over 8 for 5, Atlanta over 8.5, 5, Houston under 7.5, 10, San Diego for 8, 5, the Yankees 5, KC under 8, 10. Now, there was a basketball game yesterday. Now, I went out and said yesterday that I thought the game the night before on Wednesday was a fix. Luka Brasi looked terrible. They get blown out by Boston in a game they have to win. So they're down 3-0. And this is why I don't like people giving picks. Greg and John took Boston and they got killed. I had, who's that? Dallas. Took Dallas yesterday because the back's against the wall, but not for a lot. And they win by I look at the game at halftime. I don't even know, what channel it's on. I find it on ABC and they're up 35 points. I don't know what they win by, but I was getting a 1.5. And I said to myself, see, this is what the game 3 should have looked like. Now game 4, who gives a shit? And they win by 30, but now they were down 3-0. Now they're down 3-1. And now you get a little confused. Like, well, wait, is Luka gonna be fixed again in the game 5? Is he gonna lay down like he did in game 3? Or is he gonna play? And this is where you get the guy's laying down, the guy's not trying. In game 3, what happened? They had to win, and yet he didn't show up. And then in a meaningless game 4, where they're down 3-0, now he shows up. Now the refs don't call these offensive fouls on him, everything else. And that's why I talk about fixed games, right? We watch Madoff, we watch Wall Street, and it's all fixed. We watch Comex, it's all derivatives, it's all fixed. You can tell me basketball is not fixed. We know sports is fixed. But Luka Brasi clearly fixed game 3. Clearly doesn't show up. Clearly doesn't try. Gets all these stupid offensive fouls out. Does that remind us of the guy who got injured who bet against himself? I bet I'm not going to get over my total. I'm going to be under my total. And then he fakes an injury 3 minutes into the game and wins the bet. And it was a huge bet. Who the hell is betting Joe Blow under 10 points or whatever the thing is? And he bets like 100,000 on it. And then, of course, he fakes an injury. And then, of course, he wins. Luka Brasi fouls out for the first time ever in the playoffs. How many fouls did he get yesterday? Did he get any? Let's see. Luka Brasi's. Let's see the difference. We'll go to Luka, NBA. So let's look at yesterday. 122 to 84. 94, 104, 104. They win by 38 points. And let's look at the box score. Tatum gets 10 points. Holiday, well, they don't play much. They only play 20. And Luka Brasi, 32 minutes, 29 points, 0 of 8 from the three-point line. Why is he shooting 3 points? 5 of 7 free throws and 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover, 3 steals, and 3 personal fouls. So he's got 29, 5 and 5. Okay. And that was it. Kylie Irving, 21, and then Lively, 11, and Exum, 10, and Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway's still playing in the league? Wow, 15 points. Okay. So let's go back. Let's go back to Wednesday night. Boston wins 106-99. Let's look at Luca Brasi there. Luca gets 27 points, 6 rebounds and 6 assists, 3 turnovers, and 6 personal fouls. Pretty pathetic. Kylie Irving gets 35 points because Luca gets 37, gets in foul trouble. Kylie Irving sucks. Lively gets 11. Tim Hardaway gets 0. And for Boston, Jack Tatum gets 31 points and Brown 30. And then the game yesterday got 10 points. So just interesting. And the next game is now on Monday. Now the Celtics lead 3-1, and the game's in Boston. They'll probably finish them off. Either way, you can't really. What are you going to trust? How can you trust Luca Brasi to not get paid off again? I mean, scores 20 points, gets six personal fouls out. Pretty pathetic. This is why you must take this into consideration with all investments and betting, the fixes. So clearly Luca Brasi fixes games. Clearly he fixed game 3 at home. Then he actually tried yesterday and they win by 30 points. Why didn't they play like that in game 3? They had to win it. Now they're down 3-0. Now Boston doesn't even care. And then now Dallas shows up down 3-0. Oh, what, are they going to win 4 straight? So now they're down 3-1 and they play at Boston, game 5. I would imagine they lose. I don't know. Hard to say if I'll bet them or not. And this is the second series where a team was down 3-0. I took them in game 3. They had to win. They lose. Then they win game 4. I think it was Minnesota. And then they lose 4-1 or whoever it was. Maybe it was the Knicks against Boston or somebody. They were down 2-0, had to win, lost. They're down 3-0, game 4, they win. So they don't get swept, and then they lose game 5. So I think I'll bet Boston, but all you want is a fair game, and you didn't get one in game 3. This is what game 3 should have been. Dallas should have killed them. All of a sudden they need game 4. Oh, we're going to be swept. Well, dude, you're down 3-0. That series is over. So it really sucks. Just like baseball yesterday, I don't think Skubal lay down. Where the fuck? Hunter Brown has a 5-something ERA. He's not a good pitcher. And to shut out the Tigers, well, that's not the surprising because they really suck. But had it been like Verlander today, then this lock would have been an under. And it would have been an easy win. And we're betting it under anyway. But now, from a stoic standpoint, you have to just keep going. This is why you bet a percentage of your bankroll. this is why one bet doesn't hurt you. You just keep going. You make your bets. You win. We won a lot. We had a real hot weekend last weekend. And then today, yesterday, we had the perfect match and we lose. Okay. And then we go to today. And we got a few good matchups, and tomorrow will be a good. So you keep going. And if you can't win at it, you stop. This is why I don't play stocks. They're absolutely corrupted and fixed, so I don't play them unless I play the gold stock, where I get in at 10:30 after the drop, and then I sell when it starts going down, and I make 60, 70 cents a day on 1,000 shares. That's how I played stocks. I wouldn't play. If you play a stock for the long run, you're out of your mind. The only thing you should do long is gold and silver. And people don't play gold because they don't, they see it drop. It's some sort of a trust issue. I've been watching this Madoff again on Netflix and just trying to find, it's like he would make them money. They wouldn't ask why or how. They would ask how, he wouldn't tell them. So if you ask me, how do I pick my games, and I didn't tell you, would you bet with me? Maybe you wouldn't care. Well, he wins a lot, 75% in football. He has winning years, so I'll stick with him. How he does it, I don't care. Just give me, because you don't care how handicappers give you the games. You'll go to other handicappers and they'll give you the game, and all you care about, does it win or lose? And if it loses, you get all mad and go, oh, he lost. He doesn't know anything. And if he wins, you don't care how he picked the winner. You're just happy he picked the winner. Like I said, there was a guy he'd buy my picks, and he would sell them. So people would pay him money for my picks. That's how stupid it was. And if I had a cold day, he'd then he'd lose, and he'd lose all the customers, and he'd bitch at me. And I'm like, do you think this is that easy? I'm going to win every game every week. And, that's the problem. But he didn't know what he was doing, so he couldn't say why he lost. And when I won, he just took credit for it. So I made this guy a lot of money. And he'd get mad if you lost. Or no, he started betting other games from other handicappers. So there's, I had a great day. So I'm sure you won a lot. And you go, I lost all this money on the Clemson game. And I'm looking and I go, I didn't play Clemson. Why would you lose money? Why are you betting Clemson? Did I give you Clemson? And another handicapper gave him Clemson. So even though I'm giving him all these winners and he's making all this money, he still goes to other handicappers. And then he's losing on bets that I'm not giving him, that at least say, hey, what do you think of the Clemson game? And I'd say, I don't like it. If I did, I would give it to you. And so you try to think of the mentality. If I'm your handicapper and I'm giving you winners, why are you listening to other handicappers? Oh, they know also? It's not easy what I do, and I do it very well, but why are you listening to somebody else? And not even, as you know, if you buy from me, you can ask me questions like that. I don't care. I don't know if you got another handicapper or not, and I'm assuming it's your bet or you hear it on ESPN. Do I like Clemson? Did I give you Clemson? No. Well, if I didn't give you Clemson, do I like it? I'm only giving you what I like. So I didn't get the guy. And, and then again, he bet, I lost because I bet all the money on Clemson, which you're like, You're supposed to just bet a percentage of your bankroll. So you're not listening how to even bet and how to win. So you're getting all this money on Clemson and you lose. And you say, I had a bad week and I gave you 5 winners. And then you put all this money on Clemson and lost. And I just shake my head. But that's what I'm noticing about Madoff is if other people made money with him, even though they don't know how he's doing it, but if my father or my cousin is in Madoff making money, then I'll go in because I trust them, even though I don't trust Madoff or I maybe never met Madoff. And it goes to the psychology of people that they don't want to make money because we live in America, but I assume it's all over the world. You work, you make money, and then the excess money you wanna get rich because you think that's security and freedom. Makes sense. And then since you want to get rich, you go and look for ways to do it. And I can play stocks and I can bet sports. I can go to the casino and play poker or blackjack or craps. And or I want to play it safe, which I think is safe by putting money in a bank and getting 4%. And I go, okay, I'm getting 4%, like a Tech on Wall Street guy. I'll play the real estate trust. I'm going to get 8% and there's no risk. I don't want to risk my money because I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm going to trust you, but you're the biggest scammers in the world, the banks. So you really want to trust Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan and some of these guys. You really want to trust banks when they're the biggest crooks around. So it makes it funny how people like trust, but they don't really know what they're doing. And I thought about that, and I was listening to something on gold. Oh, my friend. I'm talking to my friend in Florida. And I'm telling him, that gold window is closing soon because not only are you not going to be able to find it, the price is going up. And we can see COMEX is about to be done and gold will go up and there won't be a down. The down is all derivatives. It's all paper. It's all derivatives. Some guy does a put option. It lowers the price. And then you got the call options to raise the price. It's all options, though. It's got nothing to do with anybody buying gold. If China buys 10 tons of gold, doesn't affect the price. It's the taking the delivery on COMEX and buying it on COMEX. It's only the derivatives that change the price, not the physical. So I'm trying to explain to him. He says, well, where should I put my gold? I don't have a safe. And then my light kind of came on and says, so people put their money in a bank for trust. So they think if you got your money at Chase Manhattan or Wells Fargo or wherever, that your money is protected in a physical sense. I don't have a safe at home, but let's say I got 100 grand. Well, I don't want to leave it at home. I got it at the bank for protection and security. So from that standpoint, yes, it's protected. But from the standpoint of the money being printed to zero, what you have in the bank is worthless. So you got 100 grand in the bank thinking, well, it's safe there. Anytime I need it, I go get it. First of all, it's not your money. It's the banks. The banks give you a credit saying, Joe, you have 100,000 in our account, but if we need it, it's ours. It's really not your money. It's really the bank's, but you have the credit for it. And if they ruin the money as they're ruining it, as it's printed to zero, even though it's safe physically in the bank, it isn't worth anything. And that's where people, I think, don't understand. You have your money safely in the bank, but it isn't safe. If you have your money in a safety deposit box, it's not safe if it's at a bank, because when the bank closes, you won't be able to get it. So my suggestion is we'll go buy gold. Yeah, but what, I don't have a safe at home. What am I going to do with the gold? It's not protected. It's not safe. Well, that's why you buy a safe. Now, how many people get things stolen out of their house, realistically? Once in a blue moon. I mean, I hope it never happens to any of you guys. But very rarely. I think if you're, I think there's different kinds of criminals. I think they'll go into a store and steal and shoplift. Like they'll go into Target or they'll go into Home Depot and steal quicker than they'll go into your house because they think it's safer. They think, well, I'll go in and I'll put something in my pocket and I'll leave. And nobody will know. And I think that's what they do versus trying to go into your house. What are they going to do with the safe? They're not going to be able to open it because most people don't have a clue. The professionals have their oil or whatever James Caan uses, and they'll open the safe. But they don't know when you're home or who's in the house or when you'll be back. So they got to worry about that. And if I got a gun, you're in trouble. We're at a store, I'm not in trouble. So I think people have misconceptions about if I have a safe in the house with my gold and my silver, is it going to be stolen? They're scared to have their money on them. They're so entrusted in, I got to have my money in the bank where it's safe. I have my 100,000 in the bank, and anytime I want it, I get it. And that's my retirement money. And they don't realize all the bank problems with the mortgages and the commercial real estate and the dollar being worthless, that the whole banking industry is in big trouble, but they don't realize that, unfortunately. So that's the problem. So talking to my friend, I get a lot of insights when I talk to my friends about buying gold, and they'll give me I don't have a safe in the house. And I go to the guy, well, then buy silver. It's $30 an ounce. So you buy 10 ounces, it's $300. If it gets stolen, what's the difference? And if it doesn't get stolen, then, you turn that into, $30,000, 10 times 1,000, or you turn it into 10 grand. You turn 300 into 10 grand by buying 10 ounces of silver. Silver will be worth at least 1,000. It'll start going. The bullshit about, well, the government doesn't want gold and silver to go up because that'll affect the dollars, just bullshit. China and Russia want it to go up, and India and Saudi Arabia, they all want gold and silver to go up because they have it. And they don't care about the dollar. They're all de-dollarizing anyway. And I guess there's another 40, 50 countries. Let me see. I was watching this last night. Le Pen beats Macron as France suspended parliament. So they're voting all these Soros people out, which is good news. That's the start. That's the only way we can end this Soros problem. Let's see. BRICS makes de-dollarization announcement.
I paid off $495,000 in debt within 18 months using what I now call my
Nobody cares.
Digital innovation. BRICS is also exploring the feasibility of introducing gold advancements.
I was watching a BRICS thing, but we know BRICS is the gold-backed currency will be October now. We hope. We keep Biden will pull out of the 2024 race. This is what happens now. Well, see, again, I don't like to hear that hearsay. I like to hear reality. I don't know. There was like 50 or 60 countries wanting to join BRICS. They don't want the dollar. It's strictly they don't want the dollar. So let's think about everything. You've got your money in the bank because it's safe. Nobody can come into your house and take it, and nobody can really go into the bank and steal it because they don't even have the money in the bank. They just have a credit in your account that you have $100,000 in the bank. That's what they got. That's it. 100,000 in the bank. And so nobody can grab it. So it's safe and secure in the bank. You just don't realize it doesn't have a value, where the value is going. And that's part of the problem. So you're reassured, but they got to trust the money. So you understand the bank is going to hold your money and it's safe. And that goes back to the Great Depression and this whole problem, 1929 and 1940, for the older people. They are, oh my God, I lost all my money and now I want it safe. And now I leave it in a bank because it's safe. I remember my mother-in-law, I'll take 3%. I know it's safe. That's all they cared about. They didn't want to lose their money because they remember the Great Depression. And so they would keep it in the bank. Now, what they don't understand is what money is and the value of the money going to zero. That's a concept most people don't get. So I keep trying to explain to my friend in Florida saying, you can't hold your dollar. If you hold your dollar, it's worthless. Well, he can't get over that concept. How can it be worthless? It's the US dollar. It's the reserve currency. It's not the petrodollar anymore. It's not the reserve currency anymore, and nobody wants it anymore, which means the value will go to zero. Here in America, it'll be worthless. Like in Venezuela, you can't buy anything with it. It's worthless. Or Zimbabwe. So it's getting worthless, and it's all going to Russia, China, the BRICS. They'll be the ones with the value, but it'll be a gold-backed currency. So you've got to get your dollar into gold, but then you're worried about, well, geez, if I do, what if somebody steals it? It's kind of naked. It's not in the bank. And the only thing I can do is keep the money in the bank, is to put the gold in the safety deposit box in the bank, which you can't do. If the bank closes, you don't get inside. You can't knock on the door and say, hey, I need my safety deposit box. You're not getting in. The bank's closed. I don't think the bank takes your security box, but you can't get to it. So it's not a safe place to go. Maybe one of these U-Haul lockers or these little safety moving lockers are where you can put it. So buy a safe, put it in there, and have the key and hope that the company doesn't break in, which I'm not sure how that works, but you have the key and it's safe off-site, so you don't have to worry about anybody stealing it, and you pay whatever it costs to have this little locker, if it's $100 a month or whatever, as safety for your gold. I don't know. Leave it in a safe place, but it depends where you live. It depends how safe it is in your house. I don't know that people, if it's a congested little place, I think you're fine. People aren't going to, because somebody's going to see them and, what are you doing in this? And your neighbors, I think if it's an apartment or condo, I think you're pretty safe. If it's an exclusive house type of thing, then I think that would attract the criminals, because they would think, oh, he's got money. Look at the house, and so they don't think you have money if you live in a condo or an apartment in a complex for some reason. So I thought that was interesting. That my friend's worried he doesn't have a safe, but what he doesn't get is the money in the bank's worthless because it's in the bank. It's money that's printed, You understand the debt at 35, 36 trillion on its way up until the dollar goes out. You understand BRICS coming out with gold-backed currency. You understand gold about to go up, and the dollar is going out. And look at the Romans, look at the Brits, the French, the Spanish, all the people that were number one that all inflated. Everywhere in my notes, it's Spain did this, then they inflated, they went out. And it's always wars. But I don't think the wars are because of the inflation. I think they're trying to get more because of the inflation. They're trying to get more resources. They think that'll save them. They don't understand, stop printing the money and you won't have the inflation. Or you have the gold. Why are you inflating the money? You got gold, just leave it alone. So I don't think the countries understand it. I don't think you go to war, doesn't. War is very expensive. So I'm wondering how Russia's paying for the war. NATO, I don't know how they're paying for it. The U.S. is giving a lot of money, so is these other countries. Wars are very expensive. Like I said, the bullets, the missiles, the planes, if you have boats, if you have tanks, cars, you got to feed the men. There's no revenue. It's all expense. So it's a very expensive thing, war. So I don't know if we're trying to keep it going. So we think we can break the Russians financially, which we can't because they're sitting on 30,000 tons of gold. You're not going to break them. So I'm really confused because it's costing the U.S. and it's not our war. We keep sending billions of dollars over there that we're printing out of thin air. That's inflation. That's hurting the dollar. But again, I'm wondering, why are we still doing the war? What is the point? And from a financial standpoint, it's costing you a ton and you're not gaining anything. So it makes no sense. Anyway. So again, you get out of the dollar because it's clearly collapsing between the debt and the war and everything else. The dollar's gone. Nobody wants it. When nobody wants your product, it goes to zero. We've covered that a lot. I hate when Mark McGuire says that. Well, I've already told you about it. Yeah, but you're talking about ring fences and shit that nobody understands what in God's name you're talking about. Even though you can say it 5 times, you don't talk English. You talk, if I said ring fences, I could talk at a higher level, but what's the point if nobody understands it? Nobody would understand it. So I keep it simple where you can follow. And he talks bank talk, and I'm sitting there going, what did he just say? Well, if the ring fence does this and they do the washing and rinse and wash cycle, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Then he'll have a guest on and he'll start explaining to the guest what's going on because the guest doesn't know what he's talking about and he thinks his audience understands it. But anyway, I showed you what he said about BRICS and silver. Silver will go up. It's just when you have high demand and there's demand for the solar panels, and then China citizens are starting to buy silver like they buy gold because gold's getting too expensive for them because they probably don't make money in China. The regular guy doesn't probably make that much. Just the oligarchs and the government take all the money. So they're buying gold. But as long as there's demand, price goes up. Silver demand, price goes up. BRICS, it's going to happen supposedly October now. When they're working on it, it's just about done. The gold-backed currency, and it'll be implemented supposedly in October, which I thought he said April, or maybe he said it would be accepted in April, and now it's going to be implemented in October. And once that happens, it's the dollar. We can get gold-backed currency or the dollar. Yeah, we'll take the gold. Thank you very much. And the banks keep buying gold. So the demand is there. The price is going to go up. Right now, these derivatives in the gold part of COMEX is just about done. Luke always asks me when, I'm June 30th, it'll be done. It's a good question, but it can't be answered. You're asking a question that can't be answered. Like Kansas City's going to win the Super Bowl. At what point will they score the touchdown to take the lead? Who knows? But that's about what it is. So anyway, keep that in mind. And so that's what we're looking at. Again, don't be scared that your money's not in the bank. Like the bank is safe. The bank is safe that nobody can really get to your money, but nobody wants to put $100,000 in cash in their house, and I understand that. You could, even with the safe, you could, but it would be uncomfortable. But $100,000 worth of gold, it's really not that uncomfortable. It's not that big. It can be concealed in a safe very easily. So I think that's it. Now, do you want to put it in one of these U-Haul safety locker things to reduce risk? I don't know. I'm not going to run to Switzerland and put half of it in a Swiss vault. I don't know if I'll be able to fly to Switzerland when the shit hits the fan. I hope so, but I see there's a new visa we need to go to Europe, but I think it starts in 2025, where it's an electric visa. It's like $5 or something online, and when you go, you have to have this visa. But I'm looking to travel, and I don't think I need it now. If I do, I probably can get it at the airport or whatever. It just takes 5 minutes. Just a tax. So keep that in mind, that the gold, buy it now, buy the silver, and don't worry about the price, because it's derivatives which are going away. I mean, they can only do it so long, but that's the way the system's set up. Comex is really just a future system that is based on derivatives to get a value on gold and silver, but it was really never meant to be the physical price, and it was really never, meant if people wanted to buy gold like the Chinese, where you would go to Comex to buy it. So it's just strictly a derivative mechanism where they're doing options, puts and calls. That's really the point of it. It's not really a physical exchange. The problem is there is no physical price of gold and silver. So knowing that the derivatives lower the price of gold because they put options in, so they're put downs, they're call ups and put downs, so you know which way the option goes. And it's all options. And if the price gets too high, they put in these put options, and they do an Eddie Murphy, and they sell it at 2,400, and it lets it go down. And then it gets bought at 23, whatever. And that's the idea. So keep that in mind. But you realize, because they're doing this shit, that the real, because they're leveraging it, right? So 1,000 ounces of gold is controlling 100,000 ounces. So it makes it look like there's 100,000 ounces of gold, but it's only 1,000. So again, it's like inflation. It's like they're moving all this gold, but there really isn't that much gold to move. It's really far less. So what you're going to have is the gold, once it gets off of this, is worth at least 10 times, probably 20 times, because if you get out of the derivatives and the price starts going up, and then you get that hysterical Titanic effect of realizing the boat sinking, and you got to get off the boat, and you got the frenzy, and they're all trying to get on well, that's what you're going to have in gold. People will realize that the dollar's worthless, and the euro, and the Swiss franc, or the Swiss, Swiss franc, British pound. Once they realize all those currencies, you're going to have that frenzy into gold, because there's nowhere else to go, or silver. And that's coming. I don't know exactly when, but it's coming. But you're going to get the frenzy, and that's what, then price really shoots up. The thing is, if you stay on this, you're in trouble. It's not going to stay. This is going to zero. And it's every time a currency is not backed by gold, it goes to zero. Venezuela, go look at Venezuela and Zimbabwe before the gold back. And I think Brazil and Sri Lanka and Greece. I mean, you have many examples going on right now. And that's why a lot of these countries are joining BRICS, because they want the alternative out of the dollar, and there isn't one. Because none of them understand you got to back your dollar by gold. And I think they're backing it by US dollar, and that's failing. But the only way to keep your money solved is gold. So with that being said, they don't quite, but they're not, but they have gold, but maybe they're not backing their dollar by it. Or maybe the government has it. They're all Keynesians, MMT people. So they believe the government steals all the money, and then the people have nothing. That's why you see all these problems going on in the world. They're all getting pissed off. You see Macron getting voted out because they all hate him. But the problem is the new guy any better? And the system's still bad. That's the problem. So anyway, that's where we're at. Your countries don't have a choice. It's either U.S. dollar or what else. And you have your money in the bank, so you got 100, 200 grand in the bank. You're not comfortable keeping it in your house. I don't blame you. You should put it in the gold and silver. Maybe you put some of it in gold and silver. Put it this way: if I have 200,000 in the bank in cash, I would put probably 90% into gold and silver. So of the 200,000, I'd have 180,000 in gold and silver, and I'd leave 20 grand in the bank for bills or things that come up. And as I see it clearly that the dollar is zero, I go buy gold with the other 20,000. There's no risk in gold. See, this is what people don't get. If I need money, I go back to the store and I give him the gold, and he gives me this bullshit. In 2 seconds, he happily gives me back money for my gold. He will give me money. But the difference is you get spot. You don't, like, if spot on that is, well, if gold's 2,400, this is worth 600 spot, but he sells it for 660. So the difference is I only get the 600 if I sell it to him, but it cost me 660. So that's your risk, I guess. But he'll buy it from you just like that. Especially if I bought it from him, he knows me and it's his, so he'll easily sell it to me. And that's, so it's not a risk. You didn't buy like golf clubs or go on a trip and spend your money. You just switched it. I have this, now I have that. So this has gone to this. And if I need it, I sell this and get this. Problem is, we know this is going to zero. We know this is going to the moon. So it's more advantageous to hold more of these. So, I know it's, oh, I got this in the house. Somebody might steal it. I got to be careful. Yes. But you got golf clubs in the house. You got jewelry in the house. You've got other assets in the house that people can steal just the same as your money or as the gold. And that's what you got to be careful with. So don't think, somebody can come in and steal your TV and your computer. I mean, for that standpoint. But people want money, and that's really what you got to understand. But if you lock it away in a safe, and again, you could keep it at a U-Haul or some, locker type of thing. I see storage units. I don't know the price, but you can put it in there for if you're worried about that. But you're not safe in the bank. There's going to be bank runs. The banks are going to go out with all these property problems, and your money itself is worthless. So 200,000 in the bank, you have a bigger risk with 200,000 in the bank than you do with 200,000 in gold in your house in a safe or in the locker at these rental places. I don't know if there's any risk in the locker. I don't know. I guess the guy who comes into your house to steal it can just as easily go to the locker and steal it. I know Switzerland, Egon's got all those vaults, underneath the ground in the mountains in Switzerland. Is that safe? I don't know. I guess if they wanted to, they could rob that just as easily. It would be a lot more complicated, but they wanted to. But I think a real high-end thief's probably going to a jewelry store or this coin store where I buy my gold at, or a bank. Probably more the jewelry store I would go to if I'm going to take jewels than I'm going to go into a person's house that I don't know if he or she has any, and then where it is and what's going on. So a high-end thief probably isn't coming to your house. The low-end thief, if you got a safe, what's he going to do? He's not going to be able to crack the safe, and that leaves him with, what's he take the safe with if he can, or he's not going to crack it, or so he's just looking for $500 cash. So so I think you're okay there, but they could come in and break into your house anytime they want to and steal your golf clubs and your china and your jewelry just as easy. And see, they know you have that. They don't know you have gold and silver or money or even a safe. Especially, like I said, like if you're in a condo complex, apartment complex, the risk is probably very low because there's other people around, unless it's somebody in the complex themselves, who can see that. But I think you're okay there. So anyway, let's review the baseball. Cubs 10 units, Philly over 8.5, 5 units, Frisco over 8, 5 units, Atlanta over 8.5, 5 units, Houston under 7.5, 10 units, San Diego over 8.5, 5 units, the Yankees 5, and KC under 8, 10. If it's a good bet, I'm betting it. If it's not a good bet or there's too much, I'm not. All right, simple as that. Let's look at the SEC. We change gears to college football. I'm just doing an overview of really returning quarterbacks, stuff like that, of the division. And just a new look of it. There's more teams and that. Are we done with economics? I can always bring it back. I'm versatile enough. But really, your dollar's not safe in the bank because you're worried about the dollar losing value. And that's really what they hide from you is the fact you don't think the dollar can go out. And if you understood it and understood if they keep printing and the $36 trillion debt and 150 trillion of dollars printed out there and all these central banks buying gold and dumping the dollar, if you understood all that, like Mark McGuire said yesterday, well, India and Saudi Arabia are also dumping dollars and buying gold. So everybody's dumping dollars and buying gold. So if you understood the concept of if there's no demand, there's no value, which means if nobody wants it, it's worthless. And that's how we've been scheming the whole world, is by selling the dollar. So you have to do these FX transactions to buy oil, or if you go from country to country, you need the dollar to buy their dollar. But if they're saying, screw it, we don't want to, I mean, they're using a lot of yuan to buy. Somebody said, well, Russia wants to buy oil from India or trade with India. No, they can't, because the ruble, they can't buy the Indian dollar. So they have to buy yuan. But again, it's all about competition, and the US dollar is trying to be a monopoly, which is, again, the problem. You always want competition. It's really the best for everybody. It's the best You get a better product at a cheaper price. And if it's a monopoly, you get corruption, which is what we have. So keep that in mind. If there's no demand for the dollar, it has no value. And just look at Venezuela or Zimbabwe. The Venezuelans still have the dollars, but they're worthless. The inflation is so high. And you can't keep printing is not the way out. If you keep printing dollars, the value goes down, down, down. So I'm telling you now, the value of this is basically zero. And this is being held down by these derivatives that are going away as the BRICS countries go to a gold-backed currency, which is their only hope. They can't go to Mark McGuire was saying yesterday that if they don't go to a gold-backed currency, they'll still be under the U.S. IMF holding their dollars. And so they don't really get out of the U.S., which is their whole point. They don't want to be controlled by it. So they must go to a gold-backed currency to have the freedom of trading in between. And so they must have gold. But everybody's buying gold. Everybody understands the importance of gold, and you can't print gold. And that's really the key. But as it gets bought up, that's why I bring in this new Super Bowl example. The first tickets are sold out. There's 100,000 people that want to go to a 50,000 seat stadium. So Joe Blow and his wife buy the tickets for $300, but then the demand's huge, and now people want it, and they go, I can sell my ticket for $2,000. So they start selling. So the people who bought for $350 can get $2,000 for it, and they sell it. I remember when I was 1973 or 4, I think 3, because I think Michigan was playing Ohio State in Michigan. And my brother was going there, and I had season tickets. And I got season tickets for $25. You can get student section season tickets. And there was 7 or 8 games. Let's say it's 8 games. So it's like $3 a game. This is in the 70s when money was worth something. And I did that. My brother's was getting married, and the girl's father wanted to go to the game as a big Michigan guy. So I sold him my ticket for $25. So my $3 ticket, I got $25 for. So that's the incentive for it. So now if you're getting a Super Bowl ticket for $350 and you can get $2,000 for it, you sell it. And that's what happens for the Super Bowl and the college championship, all these big playoff games. Not the first guy, but they run out of supply, and then the demand's still huge, and people want to go, and they're rich and they're businesses. I want to go and take my client. I need 2 tickets. I'll give you $5,000 for him because he doesn't care. Takes him out of the business. And you get $5,000 for something you paid $350 for. Of course you're going to do that. Well, that's what gold's doing. Gold, if you buy it now, you're getting it at $2,300, $2,400 an ounce. And the kicker is, but as it runs out, right, there's a limited supply. 250,000 tons is limited, considering all the people that want it. And then with that, you have 250,000 tons, probably 240,000 are already gone, right? These countries, central banks are buying it. Russia and China are buying it. India and Saudi Arabia and South Africa, they've already bought it. There's not a lot of tons left. So it's the new people coming on board at BRICS and these others, or people in the US or England or Australia or all these Germany's got a lot of gold, all the people, right? And so they know they were around, well, they weren't around for Hitler, but they can read their own history. So they know they don't want to keep dollars, especially with what happened in 1923 to the Germans. They especially keep gold. And so you run out of supply. You're that $350 in the Super Bowl ticket. So it's gone. There's not a lot of tickets left. And now you're going to have all these banks wanting gold, but there's no gold to get. This is what I'm warning you. And then when that happens, the price goes through the moon because the frenzy hits, I need gold. And as people realize they need gold, as all the central banks do. Forget these derivative prices. These are all bullshit. I'm doing a short. I'm selling it at 2,400 to buy it at 2,300 to buy to then watch it go back to 2,400 to sell it. And they're playing this game. That's over here. The real physical's over here, and they're not communicating. So the real physical price is way up here, and this little derivative bullshit is nothing. So that's what's going to blow up is the derivative game, because they actually need gold to sell it, but they only apparently need 4%. So with 4%, they can do 100% derivative option and control 96% without having the gold. But that attracts, as Mark McGuire said, the sharks to the water. So as they are lowering their price with these derivative downs, people want to buy it. Oh, I can get it for 2,300. Load it up, because they know they got it figured at a $3,000 price, and that's where we're at. So we know our goal's going to at least 10, probably 20,000, because this pool over here, the derivative pool versus the physical pool. On the physical pool, the price isn't, nobody's selling. It's just going up and up and up. The demand's huge, but the price for some reason is being held by the derivatives. This goes away, and then this is just going to go up, and we're going to get a real price much, much higher than this bullshit derivative price. So if you understand that, you just keep buying now going, this is so cheap. That's why I sing and dance going out of the store, doing handstands, going, wow, I just got gold. I just bought this for $600. Oh my God. And that's the key to it is, but how many people realize what I've just told you? They think the real price is the derivative price. Oh, I don't buy gold. It doesn't move. How many times have you heard that? That's not the physical price. But the question is the physical price has never, the derivative price has never blown up before. So they keep playing the game, and people think, oh, gold doesn't have value. But now that all the central banks are buying and brics and all that, we're going to get to a real price, and that's going to be much higher. And then you're going to stop asking when gold moves, but you better buy now at these low prices while you can. And that's what I keep pushing, because if you wait, it's already what, 2,400 an ounce. I go to the store now, he's adding $100 premium. It's going to cost me 24. It's 23.33 today. It's going to cost me probably 24.20 to buy an ounce. And if he has any, which people are selling, that's why I'm getting it. People don't get it. So they are selling their physical gold at paper gold prices, and they need money, or they need to pay. They need to go to the grocery store, pay their bills. I get it. I understand it. But there's inventory for me to buy. And that's really the key. And then once you understand that, you buy the inventory. But it used to be what, 1,700, right? It used to be 16, 17, 1,800 for gold. Now it's 2,400. It's gone up $600. And like Luke and Bobby are like, well, when's it going to go up? And I'm like, well, it has gone from 18 to 24 on its way to 10,000. It's got to kind of walk up, and there's going to be fights because the government doesn't want you. They want you to stay in the Ponzi scheme to control you. They don't care about you. That's why these elections are a joke. It doesn't matter who's in office. We're fucked either way. I mean, the quicker you understand that, the better off you are. So that's where you got to realize you got to take care of yourself, and you buy your gold, you're off the grid, and you're safe, and nobody can fuck with you. Are they going to break into your house and steal it? Do you get your house broken into normally anyway? Probably not. So probably I wouldn't worry about that. Or if you do, maybe you keep, let's say you have 100 ounces, maybe keep 50 in the locker, or 50 in your car, or 50, somewhere else, and in a storage unit or something, and that's it. So that's kind of what you're trying to do with that is the 50 is keep some of it off site, but you're still going to worry. I mean, the only thing I will say, if you have 200 grand in the bank, you really don't worry about the bank being robbed, right? You worry about the dollar going out and the bank being closed, but you really don't worry. I would worry more about getting my money out. So if you got 200 grand in the bank and you think it's safe, I would worry about getting, hey, I need 30,000. You're not going to get it. You'll have to go and they'll have to order it for you from the Fed, and maybe you get 10,000 or 15. I would worry about getting my 200,000 out of the bank. It's safe, but you can't get it. But do you need it? Well, you just use your credit and debit cards. Well, I guess use your debit card to pull the money out. Go to the gold store and buy, all this. But that's where you're at. So please understand that. And we get into these troubles when we don't have competition. This is all caused by the Fed having a monopoly printing money, and they misuse that, and they print and print and print, and they've caused the Great Depression. They've caused the stock market crash to 29. They've caused the wars, all the wars, and now they're causing this mess. And it's all because there's no competition. That's the bottom line, unfortunately. Okay, let's look at the SEC real quick. I've gone over baseball. So we've got 16 teams in the SEC now. Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Alabama, Missouri, LSU, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Auburn, Florida, Kentucky, South Carolina, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. Really, it's the same. We've added Oklahoma, Texas. We've already added Texas A&M, Missouri, South Carolina before. I think South Carolina was an add. So that's what we have. The all SEC team quarterbacks, Carson Beck of Georgia, Entitine from Georgia, running back, and Hunter, running back from Auburn, and Burden from Missouri are the running backs. The receivers, 2 from Ole Miss and 1 from Texas. Tight end from Ole Miss. 2 linemen from LSU, a Texas, a Georgia, and Alabama. So not a lot of Alabamas on the board there. First team defense, we've got Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky, A&M, which is very unusual. We got 5 and an Ole Miss, and then linebackers, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma. Secondary, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma. Surprised there's not more Georgia guys. But that's your SEC. So I disagree with Texas too. I think Missouri and LSU, well, LSU could be, it depends on the quarterback. Missouri, I think, will be very highly up there. Now let's take a look. Alabama gets Milrose back. I'm not a big Milrose fan. He might do better with this coach. We will see, but he wants to run too much. And this coach doesn't like running quarterbacks. As you can see, Penix didn't run that much. Let's look at their schedule. So they open up against Western Kentucky. This is Alabama. They go at Wisconsin the 14th of September, and then home against Georgia. And they have not played Georgia a lot in conference. They usually don't play them. Then they get them in the championship game. Then they got Tennessee, which is their 3rd Saturday of October always, and Missouri, that's going to be a tough game for them, at Tennessee, and then Missouri, and then at LSU, and then they finish with Oklahoma and Auburn. So that's a pretty tough schedule. Georgia, LSU, Missouri, and Oklahoma. Going to be tough for Alabama. Their defense won't be as good because Saban ran the Steeler defense of the 70s, and the board doesn't run it. His defense didn't look all that good. They got 6 back on offense, 5 on defense. So this is kind of rebuilding. There's a lot of freshmen I'm seeing. Holy shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 freshmen as backup on the offense. 1, 2, 3 as backup on the defense. Not one starter, cornerback, freshman. But love the coach. I'm surprised he went to Alabama. I'm surprised he left Washington, to tell you the truth. I don't get it. When you do well at one, why do you leave? I mean, I'm sure for money, but you would think Washington could have paid him too. So I don't know. Arkansas, now they got a new quarterback, Talon Green. He is from let's see. Sam Pittman is a new coach he's been there 4 years, 23, but Bobby Petrino, the Louisville offensive head coach, is the offensive coordinator. He's a pretty good offensive guy. Where's this Talon Green? I think he's from somewhere. Why aren't they talking about quarterbacks? Oh, here it is. Transfers dot the depth chart, headlined by quarterback Talon Green, who took first team reps all spring and tailback, but they don't say where he's from. So this is where you got this NIL crap. Here they're bringing in new players. Hey, you got to fit. So imagine you get a new job, right? Or you're in school and you got a new class. You don't know anybody. Do I like them? What if you go to a new job and you don't like the people? Then you run into that. Well, what if you go to, I'm going to go to Arkansas and you don't like the teammates? You're kind of fucked, right? So that's the other part of NIL, that you've got to blend in, not only with the coaching staff, but with the other players. They got to like you. Some of them are going to be pissed at you because you took their job, right? So here's a new quarterback, and the other quarterback's like, now the other quarterback, KJ Jefferson transferred, right? We talked about him yesterday, somewhere in the Big 12, I think, or I think he's at UCF. So the quarterback leaves. So now you got a new quarterback. So you don't have that competition, but he obviously knew he was leaving, or one of them knew they were leaving. So the other guy came in. So again, it's that chemistry. Are they going to work well together? So Arkansas should be pretty explosive. Let's look at their schedule. They get Oklahoma State September 7th, at Auburn. Then they got A&M, Tennessee, LSU. Then they get Texas, and then at Missouri at the end. So it's a pretty tough schedule, although they avoid Oklahoma. They do get Texas and Missouri and LSU and Oak State and Auburn. So pretty tough schedule for Arkansas. Auburn, Peyton Thorne from Michigan State. Then he went to, where the hell did he go? He went to Miami or somebody last year. So now he's moving again. Let's see. It doesn't say where he was from. I probably have that. Anyway, we've got Hugh Freeze, who was at Auburn, I think, before. He's a good coach. Last year, 6-7. So he's just 1 year. Peyton Thorne was okay at Michigan State. And again, they got 6 back on offense, 5 on defense. So the whole look of how many players are returning is gone, because the NLI guys are not going to be starters from last year, right? So this depth chart is who was there. I think Peyton Thorne was at Auburn. Who was there last year, right? Are they returning starters is all it's showing you. You bring in 10 guys from NIL, they're not returning starters, but they're experienced players. I almost think you look more at, are they seniors and juniors than are they new guys? So again, Hugh Freeze, not a bad coach. Peyton Thorne, was there last year. They're decent. They were 6-7 last year. So let's look at their schedule. They got September 7th, they get Cal, and then they got Arkansas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, Kentucky. Holy shit. And they end with A&M and Alabama. Oh, Auburn's just fucked. So Arkansas is okay. Then you get Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, and Kentucky. At Missouri is going to be real tough, especially after going Oklahoma, Georgia. So it's important when you're predicting and forecasting, as we do. It's very important, like, to make you don't lose sight of the schedule. So here they got Oklahoma, which will be a big game, and then they go at Georgia. Now they got to get pumped up again, and then they go at Missouri, and they're not going to get pumped up 3 times in a row. That's why I say we look at the backs against the wall game, the revenge game, because we're more motivated. Dallas in game 3 should have been more motivated and choked. And then I don't know what they were doing yesterday. They're done. They're down 3-0. They played like they should have in game 3, but they were more motivated. And so what we're looking for is that. But if you got Oklahoma, you're going to get really motivated at home. Maybe you pull the upset, but then you got to go to Georgia, and you're going to play over your head there. And then, oh yeah, by the way, so you're way up against Oklahoma at home, way up because it's Georgia, and then you got old Missouri and Kentucky. And how do you get up for? You can't get up 3 weeks in a row in college, or even in the pros. How do you get up for Missouri? And then here's Kentucky at home. It's pretty good. Now, how do you possibly get up at Kentucky 3 road games in a row? And then you get a little break, and then near the end, you got A&M and Alabama. And Alabama's the Iron Bowl. That's your big competition. So keep an eye on the schedule. This is murder. Auburn's just, even if they're a good team, they're fucked. I mean, Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, and then A&M, Alabama at the end. Oh, my God. So they're in big trouble, Auburn. So you Freeze better learn how to, how do you get the guys up for 5 big games? And, this is the problem. So I go back to the 74, right? The Oakland Miami game, right? This is the Super Bowl 8.5, and Oakland wins on a miracle at the end. Stabler hitting, what was it, Clarence Davis or Charlie Smith? And they win, and it's an emotional game. They beat Miami. That's it. Miami's done. Their players are going to the WFL for some reason. I mean, they get money, but Miami couldn't pay them. They couldn't match them. It wasn't in their best interest to pay Zonka, Kick, and Warfield money. Maybe not Kick, but with Zonka and Warfield, how do you let them go? Anyway, but then the next week, Oakland's got to get up for Pittsburgh. There's no way they're going to be. They probably couldn't have beat Pittsburgh if they didn't play Miami. If they'd have played, the Lions, they would have still struggled against Pittsburgh. But when you get so up against Miami and win on the last play of the game the way they won, how in the world can you get that high for Pittsburgh? That's my point. You've got to look at emotion. So you got to look at the schedule. I mean, that's a very key trend I use, which good luck in your algorithm, guys, to figure that one out. How would you judge it? Yeah, they played, Auburn's playing Oklahoma. Next week is Georgia. How do we factor that into the algorithm? And then, then the next week's at Missouri. How do we now factor that into your algorithm? That's why algorithms simply do not work and cannot work trying to pick football games. Forget about it. Forget math formulas. You got to know it up here. You got to know the skill of the players and what's going on. You cannot do it any other way. Anyway, so what a schedule for Auburn. They're fucked. All right. Next, Florida. Graham Mertz from Wisconsin sucks anyway. He's their quarterback. They got 8 guys back and 6. Again, it's hard to really evaluate your returning guys. Let's look at the schedule. They open against Miami, who's terrible coach. Then you got A&M. Then you got Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU. Holy shit. And they close out Florida State. Again, all these SEC schedules are going to be just murder because Tennessee's always good. I love the coach. Kentucky, not bad. And then Georgia, Texas, LSU. Are you kidding me? And then you end up with Ole Miss and then Florida State. And we don't know how good Ole Miss is, but I'm not even counting them here. Or UCF, or they got A&M. So they got Miami and then A&M, and then the Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Well, we know Buglia sucks at Florida State. Hopefully they got a good backup and get him in as soon as possible. I love the coach at Florida State, but I don't know what he's doing with Buglia. What are you thinking there? So again, a vicious schedule. So it's going to be hard. They were only 5-7 last year. Georgia got them. Arkansas got them. LSU killed them. Missouri beat them. Florida State beat them. So who's their coach? Billy Napier, 11-14 in 2 years. This is a guy that left Lou Lafayette, 51-26, 6 years, and he comes to Florida like an idiot. He chases the money, but at Lou Lafayette, I'm sure they're paying him something, and he could have asked for a raise. And then he goes to Florida. Good luck there. You can't beat Georgia and Alabama and Texas and Oklahoma now, LSU. Forget about it. You're not. Why would you want to play all those guys? All right, Georgia. Carson Beck, he's a senior. I didn't know he was I thought he was a freshman, but I thought he was a freshman last year, but I guess not. Good quarterback. Now, here's the difference. Georgia's got 9 guys back on offense, 6 back on defense. So they don't NIL. If you're at Georgia, you're not going anywhere. Only the third stringers who can't make the team transfer, not the stars. Georgia, here's the analysis. Georgia has one of the deepest, most talented rosters in the country. It also returns some of the sports top players at premium positions, and it isn't protecting a title for the first time in a while. There's a reason the Bulldogs are viewed by most as the #1 team in the country, because they have a good coach and a strong defense. So let's look at Georgia. They lost 27-24 to Alabama last year in the championship game. Good God, they beat Florida State 63-3. What an embarrassment for Florida State to not try in the bowl game. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. All right, Georgia opens against Clemson in what should be a strong under. Then they got the 14th, they get Kentucky, then Alabama, then Auburn. On the 19th, Texas, and then Florida, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and they close with Georgia Tech. So really, they got Alabama and Texas. Florida, we're not sure. Ole Miss, Tennessee, they don't usually struggle with. Auburn, so really it's Clemson, Alabama, Texas. And they get lucky they finish with Georgia Tech, a team they can easily beat. So look for Georgia to be #1 again. Let's look at this defense, which they gave up 21 to UAB, 20 to Auburn, 20 to Vanderbilt, 20 to Florida, 21 to Old Missouri, 23 to Georgia Tech, 27 to Alabama. So, I don't know, should be a strong defense. The coach is really the defensive coordinator, not the guy that went to Oregon. So look for Georgia to be the best team. Them and Ohio State and Oregon up for grabs. Kentucky, Brock Vandagriff, quarterback. Never heard of him. New quarterback, I think. 6 back on offense, 9 back on defense. We'll see what that means. Quarterback Coach Mark Stoops is 73-65, so he's been there. We don't have to talk about Kirby Smart, although he is 94-16 at Georgia. Jesus Christ. 73-65, Mark Stoops. and he's all been at Kentucky. Let's look at their schedule. They start easy: Southern Miss, South Carolina. Then they go to Georgia on the 14th, at Ole Miss on the 28th, at Florida on the 19th, and then Auburn, and then at Tennessee, and then at Texas. They got a very easy schedule, except for Georgia and at Texas, which we don't know how strong Texas is. That's it. So they got like Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, who are, and then Louisville, they close at. So we don't know how strong they are because of all this NIL shit. But they're a pretty good team, Kentucky. I wouldn't just, they got the coach is still there, building a good team. So they struggled. They lost to Georgia 51-13, Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, and Clemson last year. So it's, they play well, except for Georgia, but that's it. LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, the new quarterback. Now, he was there before. He's not brand new. He's a junior. I like Brian Kelly. He always has a good offense. They'll score. Question is his defense. We will see. He's 20-7 in 2 years. His career record's 299 and 103, and he was at Grand Valley State and Central Michigan, and then Cincinnati, and he was always a winner at those places. Notre Dame was tough because you couldn't recruit all the players because you had to have an actual 3.0 grade point or whatever. But he knows how to coach. So Garrett Nussmeier is new, but not. Let's see what they say. The message change at the top. Garrett Nussmeier takes over quarterback for Jaden. And there's also a new play caller from Joe Sloan. Nussmeier started LSU's win over Wisconsin, throwing for 395 and leading a 98 game-winning drive. Nussmeier, he's more of a pocket passer. Daniels ran more, but with LSU, it's fine. There was a pocket passer named, Joe Burrow. He did okay. So I think there's too much emphasis on this running quarterback, that you're much more effective with the drop back because you need to keep your receivers in the game and hand the ball to your running backs. You don't want your quarterback, he gets hurt and he can't throw when he's scrambling around. You've fucked up all the passing lanes. And it's easy for the defense, if he rolls right, to roll right with them. You get a lot of interceptions that way. All right, let's look at LSU. 6 back on offense, 6 back on defense. But I love the coach. All right. You open against Bobby, you open against USC without Caleb. Their quarterback's okay. Their system is just everybody run deep system. We've seen it, and no defense usually. Although they brought in the UCLA defensive coordinator. We'll see how that works. So they start with USC. They get UCLA. What are they playing? The Big Ten? They get UCLA the 21st at home. And then it's at Texas A&M. Here's where October 26th. Home against Alabama on the 9th. And they finish a home against Oklahoma. So USC may be good. UCLA is going to be down. A&M should be good. Alabama should be good in Oklahoma. So Alabama, Oklahoma, USC, and Texas A&M. At Florida could be tough. Florida's okay, but at home they're better. So this will be an interesting year. I think the quarterback's not a problem. I don't look at the 395 against Wisconsin in the bowl game as anything. You can't start looking at the bowl games because most of the players don't play. Welcome to the new bowl system, which absolutely sucks. You've signed a contract to play. So if I'm going to Michigan and I sign a letter of intent, I'm going to play for Michigan, they're going to give me a scholarship. I got to be able that I have to play in the bowl game. That has to be, you want to come to our team, you're playing in the bowl game. This sit out to get ready for the draft is a bunch of bullshit. I mean, you're part of the team. The team's playing. It's not an exhibition. It's a bowl game. It's another game, just like the Ohio State game. How is it any different? It's a game, and these guys should not be allowed to sit out to get ready for the draft because they're scared of getting hurt. Then go play tennis. I'm sorry, that's a bullshit answer, and it lets the team down. And then you're gonna go travel to Florida to watch Michigan, and you're getting all the guys sitting out. What the fuck is that? I don't like it at all. I don't like the NIL at all. I don't believe these players should get paid. They're getting a college education. This is not professional. This is college. This is amateur athletics. The swimmers aren't getting paid. The golfers aren't getting paid. The baseball players and girls softball aren't getting paid because it's amateur. This is stuff you go and do, and then maybe you can be drafted, and then you can make money if you're good enough. But it's like, well, okay, I'm going to the accounting school. I want to get paid to do accounting. It's just bullshit. It doesn't. They're amateurs. They're not professionals. Anyway, I think it's a joke, and I think it's stupid, and I think it's ruining it because I think there's contempt. Wait a minute, why is this quarterback? Why is Ward going to Miami and getting paid $1 million to be, or Uglia Buglia? God knows what he's getting paid, or Gabriel going to Oregon? That's bullshit. You get the scholarship, man. You get the free education, which is now $100,000 a year, and you're fucking bitching, and then you need to get a paycheck. And if I'm the pros, I'm pissed because, wait a minute, the guy's staying in college for a 6th year instead of letting me draft him. I need a quarterback. Gabriel's going to Oklahoma instead of coming here. Cam Rising's okay. He's injured. But if Cam Rising was healthy, he should go in the draft. But I don't like it. All right. Old Mississippi State. They have 0 back on offense and 2 back on defense. Jeff Lebby is in his first season as coach. There's plenty of uncertainty in new head coach and offensive mastermind Jeff Lebby. Lebby's checker. He's got some of the country's most explosive offensive threats since 2019. Never heard of the guy. There are intriguing pieces in place for Lebby. Baylor transfer Blake Shapen. All right, so Shapen, the quarterback, is from Baylor. Wasn't too great there. I never heard of this guy. I don't know if he's a Mike Leach guy or not. We have to see this guy. I'm not sold on him. Blake Shapen's okay. He's not great. So they have actually nobody. So the continuity, like I said, are they going to all mesh together? Well, let's take a look. And 2 back on defense. Yeah, we're not looking at old Mississippi State too much. They go, let's see, first game September 21st, first meaningful. They get Florida, then they're at Texas, at Georgia, A&M, and then they go at Tennessee, Missouri. They finish, and then at Ole Miss. So good luck with Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, Florida, the 4-game stretch. And you see a lot of that in the SEC, that 3-4 game stretch of Oklahoma, Georgia, or Texas, and then LSU or fucking Bama or any of those. So I don't see us, if this guy's as good as they say he is. Final analysis, Mississippi State is a new look team pretty much across the board. The Bulldogs also face a daunting schedule and enclosed road trips to Texas, Georgia, and Ole Miss. If MSU can simply return the ball. See, I hate Levy's first season. See, I don't like that analysis. It didn't tell me anything, right? I want to know about the team. Good offense, good defense. Are they over? Are they under? I don't know. And just because the guy's a good offensive coordinator, well, if he had a good quarterback, Like if you're the LSU guy and you had Daniels, oh, you're a great offensive coordinator. Really? Yeah, Daniels. Now let's see, without Daniels, are you a good offensive coordinator? And so we'll see. But I'm not going to put, maybe they're an over team. At best, they are. All right, Missouri. Love their quarterback, Brady Cook. Excellent quarterback. Should be a top 10 draft pick, along with Cam Rising. 7 back on offense, 5 on defense. Now, the running back did leave. Cody Schrader was a great running back, but I don't know. I didn't. He got drafted, I think, but I got to see what team got him. But so they lost him. They got another couple of senior running backs, so that'll be good. The quarterback's a senior, Brady Cook, but he is sharp. They are a very strong team, Missouri. And let's see. So let's look at them. They get pretty easy schedule off the start. Murray State, Buffalo, BC, Vanderbilt. That's September. Now let's get to October. A&M, and then UMass, and then Auburn. Finally, Alabama and Oklahoma, the 26th and the 9th, and then that's it. And no Georgia, because they're in the Georgia side. So I'm a little surprised there. They don't have a Georgia. So basically, they got A&M, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Missouri should definitely make the playoffs. So if you get one of these bets, and I know how you guys are, to bet if a team is going to make the playoff or not, I would strongly recommend Missouri with this schedule to make the playoffs, because at Alabama, they could easily win, and against Oklahoma, we don't know what Oklahoma is right now. They lost Dylan Gabriel, so we get to them right now. So anyway, Missouri to make the playoffs is a pretty good bet. We get to Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold, a sophomore. Never heard of him. They got 2 guys back on offense, 6 on defense. Eli Drinkwitz is the head coach of Missouri. He's 28-21 in 4 years, but that's SEC football. So he's a pretty good coach. Oklahoma, Venables, 16-10 in 2 years. I bet he didn't lose 10 games in Clemson in 10 years. Oh, yeah, he was the defensive coordinator at Clemson. That's right. So let's see. So Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold's growth at quarterback, the former 5-star recruit, which I question against high school players, takes over for Dylan Gabriel, who left for Oregon through the transfer portal and stays firmly in charge, taking a role he didn't always strive in a year ago. When Gabriel was injured or already out the door ahead of the bowl game, in that game, he lost to Arizona. This guy's not very good, this quarterback. He's more of one of these running types that isn't very good. So do not get too high on Oklahoma. They got Houston September 7th. They got Tennessee the 21st at Auburn. They got the Texas game on the 12th, and then Ole Miss the 26th, and then at Missouri, home for Alabama, and at LSU. So they got a real easy schedule, just Texas, and then Missouri, Alabama, LSU. So they got a tough one at the end. Texas, they'll probably lose that game. Final analysis, the Sooners once owned the Big 12, but they slumped in their closing 3 seasons, failing to even make the championship game at a time when the league was down. Suddenly, OU hasn't produced a first-team All-American since 2019. Yeah, I don't know. Oklahoma is on their down. I don't like this coach, and I certainly don't like this quarterback. He's going to be a running quarterback. You can't go from Dylan Gabriel. Maybe that's why Gabriel left. He has a better shot at Oregon, so it makes more sense now. But Oklahoma is not Oklahoma. Old Miss, Jackson Dart from USC is their quarterback. Was their quarterback last year. They got 8 back on offense, 6 on defense. Lane Kiffin, the ghost, is the coach. Record at school 34-15 in 4 years. Career record 95-49. Charlie Weiss Jr., the big fat guy from Notre Dame's son, is the offensive coordinator. Let's see what they did last year. Lost to Alabama 24-10. Beat LSU in a big game 55-49. Beats Arkansas by 10. Beats A&M by 3. Georgia kills them 52-17. And they beat Old Mississippi State 17-7. So really not much you can gain from them. They beat the bad teams, lost to Alabama and Georgia by a mile. Dart, decent quarterback, mostly an over team here. Let's look at the schedule. They get nobody. Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern, Kentucky, South Carolina. What kind of fucked up schedule is this? Then finally at LSU, October 12th, Oklahoma, and then Georgia, and then Florida. So again, Oklahoma, Florida. So we don't know. So really they got LSU and Georgia as their tough test. So it's the teams like Oklahoma, Florida that we don't really know now because of the NIL. All you can do is go by the coach. South Carolina, Lenora Sellers, a freshman. Stay away from South Carolina when I hear Lenora Sellers is a freshman, probably a running quarterback. Let's see. Spencer Rattler sucks. Former Arkansas. The quarterback with all redshirt freshman Lenora Sellers, a dynamite athlete who flashed at times last year. So you've got a running back at quarterback. You can't throw. So against teams like Georgia, Alabama, he's going to get killed. 4 back on 7 on defense. They're at Kentucky and then LSU in September. And then October, they got at Alabama, at Oklahoma, off a week. Then they got Texas A&M and Missouri, and then at Clemson. Pretty weak team, South Carolina. Tennessee, another new quarterback. Joe Milton was from Michigan, was their quarterback after Hooker. Let's see, Nico, whatever. I don't know. They think that this guy will be the best in the system. They have a quarterback they're confident is as good as anyone on that side of the ball. He's a former 5-star. Flashed in 4 games, then performed well in the Citrus Bowl against Iowa. They won. Well, yeah, Iowa didn't play anybody. So they were frustrated with Joe Milton III at the helm, and Joe Milton he's either drafted or he's like a free agent. So if Joe Milton can't do well in this offense, what's he going to do in the pros? This is what I don't understand about the pros drafting. If you don't do well in college, how are you going to do well in the pros? Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton. Oh, but who did well? Oh, yeah, Bo Nix and Penix. Yeah, but that we'd rather have Milton and Rattler. Let's look at their schedule. So I know this guy's a freshman, Nico Lamlulo, I guess a redshirt freshman. And until I see him against Alabama, I don't care. They open against Chattanooga, so we'll probably light it up. If he doesn't light it up, he stinks. We got NC State. Then we got at Oklahoma. home against Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, at Georgia. Pretty soft schedule for them, except for Alabama and Georgia, because we don't know Florida, Kentucky. See, this is what we got to learn in Oklahoma. After reading Oklahoma's, wait a minute, I made it like a big game, and I don't know that it is. All right, Texas, they should be good. Quinn Ewers is back, the quarterback, 5 back on offense and defense, but who knows with NIL. Tennessee, Josh Heupel is the coach, 27-12, 3 years. He's a good offensive coach. Steve Sarkisian at Texas is 25-14 3 years. Isn't he the drunk at USC? I'm not sold on this guy. If Texas offense has reloaded successfully with portal pass catchers, if the defense can develop a solid rotation of interior linemen, the Longhorns have a chance to contend in year one. Bullshit then. With the goal of reaching the 12, playing at Michigan on September 7th will be an early. So let's look at them. They open the second game's at Alabama on, oh no, that was last year. Sometimes they put 24 on this side, sometimes the other. So they're at Michigan September 7th. Then they're a home versus the Red Rivers shootout against Oklahoma. Then they get to play Georgia that next week. Oh my God, who did this schedule? Then they got a Florida at Arkansas, and they close at A&M, who hates them. So I don't even know if Oklahoma's a big game. Michigan, I don't know how good they're going to be. Georgia, they got a pretty easy schedule. Just really Oklahoma, who's average, and Georgia and A&M maybe. So we'll see. They got a good quarterback. Let's see about their defense. And right now we're just trying to get the gist. Who's the quarterback, the coach, and who's what. A&M, we got Connor Wegman, who was a backup last year when the guy got hurt. Final analysis, A&M has managed just 12 victories the past 2 seasons. Elko's president. Elko is the coach from Duke, who used to be their defensive coordinator. Khaled Klein's offensive coordinator, I think, from Kansas State. A&M got schedule break with Notre Dame, LSU, and Texas all coming to Kyle Field. Big deal. Let's look at the schedule. They open with Notre Dame. They were 7-6 last year. They open with Notre Dame. They go at Florida. They get Arkansas the 28th. They get Missouri the 5th. LSU the 26th, and then Texas on the 30th. So it's a pretty easy schedule. They miss Alabama and they miss Georgia. And this is the problem you have with these conferences. You know, like Missouri misses Georgia. I mean, that's huge, having to play Georgia and then not having to play. So that's one loss. Oh, we got Georgia, and then we don't play Georgia. And then, sort of like the Lions of the NFL. They had a very easy schedule, and they won all the easy games, and then they lost to Green Bay and Chicago, and then they lost to Dallas and Baltimore, and should have lost to Kansas City. So against the harder teams they lost, and against the easy teams they won, so they look better. Oh, we beat all the easy teams. Look how good we are. And you fucking lost to the Bears and Green Bay. But Green Bay got better, so okay. You lost to Dallas, who was terrible with Dak Prescott. The Baltimore game, yeah, you got your ass kicked. And the Seattle game, probably shouldn't have lost. But that's the thing. So any passing team is destroying the Lions. But you realize it's the schedule. They beat easy teams. And when they get to the harder teams, they're not beating them. And that's what you got to realize. So with that said, we then look at A&M and a strong schedule. We got to look at these big monster team, SC or the Big Ten, the SEC, maybe the ACC, with all these new teams, and we've got to look at who's there and what what these teams are, and then looking at the schedule. That's where I was going to see if they're okay or not. Right. So a team's good if they, if you beat Georgia, yeah, okay, but if you play nobody, South Carolina, and maybe Florida and South, and uh, teams like that, and Mississippi State, and Auburn, they're not that good at teams. But you look at me, I've got one loss, like Michigan last year. They played absolutely nobody. Them and the Lions. And Michigan got lucky. Alabama was average team, and then they got Washington, and their running back was hurt. So Michigan got lucky to get to the title. They beat nobody. Ohio State sucked, and Penn State, they weren't any good. And then Michigan just ran the ball, and they just basically blitzed 6 guys every time, and the offense didn't know what to do, and they tried to just swing the ball out. The secondary came up. So you needed to figure out where the weakness of this 6-man rush is, which is over the middle. All they had to do is do slants to break it, not these little 3-man wide receiver screens that are so obvious because of the formation is what you're doing. But that's what most of these coaches do. So again, you got to look at who they beat. That's the important stuff, not the record, but who did they beat? Did they beat good teams? So, we don't know. I do like their quarterback's not bad. Do they have a good defense? You got 4 back. I mean, this is what's so difficult now. So you got to wait about 3 weeks for most of these teams to figure them out. Vanderbilt, Diego Pavias from my New Mexico State. Look at him going to Vanderbilt. So good quarterback. 3 back on offense and defense. Anybody that's good, transferred out. Their coach, Clark Lee, record at school 9-27 in 3 years, tells a lot. A&M, Mike Elko from Duke is in his first season. Good luck there. Colin Klein is from Kansas State, so he's good. Here, Lee made necessary changes by ousting much of his coaching staff, overhauling schemes on both sides of the ball, and bringing in experience from the transfer portal. Those decisions should position Vanderbilt better, but a more difficult schedule means bowl eligibility. So you can see he identified the problems as the coaches, and he got rid of them. So we will see what's going on. They open with Virginia Tech. Then they got Elkhorn State, Georgia State, easy, at Missouri, and then Alabama, at Kentucky. And then they get Texas, and at LSU, and finish at home in the big game with Tennessee, both in Tennessee. So we will see. I mean, they could beat Virginia Tech, Georgia State. They don't have a chance against Missouri, Alabama. At Kentucky, I doubt. Ball State, yes. Texas, at Auburn, maybe. South Carolina. So it'll be a tough year. We'll see. But I do like the quarterback, Diego Pavia. Who knows? A guy from New Mexico State can be a transfer. It's so exciting. All right. That's all we're going to do for college football. We'll do something tomorrow. So anyway, that's what we got. The baseball. We got the Cubs 10 unit. We got Philly over 8.5, 5 units. Frisco over 8, 5 units. Atlanta over 8.5, 5 units. Houston under 7.5, 10 units. San Diego over 8.5, 5 units. The Yankees 5 units. KC under 8, 10 units. Now the baseball, you've got to be very careful. First of all, it's every day, and they play every day, so they're not going to play up to potential. Secondly, do not bet strong on these. I'm not betting strong. These are very small plays because the volatility is huge. The expected outcomes are based on averages, unlike football. Football is not averages. We're not looking at Mahomes' average. We know Mahomes, if it's a good defense, what they're going to do. If it's a weak defense, we know he'll light them up, and it's basically Joe Burrow, Mahomes. You know they're going to play the whole game. You know you got Joe Burrow and Mahomes. That's the difference, right? That's why you watch the injury. If I don't have Mahomes, oh my God. Or if I don't have Burrow, look what happened in Cincinnati. So that's part of the thing. Baseball, it's every 5 days you get a Verlander, and does he go 6 innings? Verlander might get 7 innings. Most of these clowns are getting 5 or 6. Oh, he pitched 90 pitch. Oh, it's the third time through the lineup. Oh my God, we can't have him pitch. And that's when you end up with is all these problems. So keep that in mind. It's a very don't bet a lot on baseball. It's just we're just fooling around trying to figure it out. And what we figured out is it's very hard to what we know is it's very hard to figure out because it's averages. But we're not but when we look at other sports, basketball is not, we're not looking at averages. We're looking at Luca Brasi or Jack Tatum. At football, we're not looking at averages. We're looking at Mahomes and Burrow. And so it's a whole different thing, baseball, because, oh, Verlander's pitching today. Oh, probably throw a shutout. We don't know. Is there an average? Run average is a little high, but okay. And that's what you're looking at. So keep that in mind. Stay stoic. Make sure your bets are good, not too, they should not hurt you. And if you're going to bet every day, then you've got to bet. I mean, you should be betting very small. If you're picking just my 10 units, let's say, or your 10 units, then maybe you bet when you get them. So you might have days you don't bet and then days you do bet. And that's about all you can do. So it's just a matter of that. And that's why I'm saying I'd rather buy gold. Like now, I'd rather buy gold than go play poker because I know I'm going to win in gold. I don't know in poker. I mean, I hate to go to play poker and lose, and then I can't buy gold versus if I just buy gold, I know just wait till it goes up, which it's been going up, right? And that's it. So we know two things: demand drives prices up, no demand drives prices down. Demand for gold and brics and central banks for gold is huge. Demand for this is going, gone. And, you know, it's going away slightly, slowly, but it's going. We know it's going to end at zero. We know this is going to end way higher. And that's all you're looking at. That's what you know. You understand that. That's all you can do. You could get the graph. You have to ask like, oh, the iceberg hit the Titanic. It's going to sink because the water's coming in. Therefore, I better get off onto a lifeboat. So you have to use that. Oh, they're printing all this dollars and we have this huge debt. So the dollar is going to go to zero. There's nothing they can do. And I need the lifeboat, and the lifeboat's gold and silver. There is no other lifeboat but gold and silver. So again, I'm doing the same cause and effect. The cause is the printing. The effect is the dollar loses value. That's the inflation, right? The dollar loses value. The prices go up if they can, because it takes more dollars to buy something, and I better get out of the dollars. So if I'm holding 200,000-300,000 in the bank, it's going to be worthless. I better get out now, not at the end when the bank says, we're going to take your money. And all these property, commercial loans, all that stuff, which are like strip centers and the statue in the Empire State Building and all these office buildings. The interest is going up. They're not going to, everybody will work from home. They won't have the money because of the economic problems. And so therefore the banks are going to be in trouble. So realizing that, do you want your money in a bank that might take your money because it's really their money? So you put $100,000 in the bank, it's not yours anymore. It's the bank's, but you have credit to it. So that's your key. You do have credit to the bank. And I mean, for me, when I put money in, it's to pay rent or my bills, and the rest comes back to me. I don't keep it in for 5 minutes because I don't want to get caught where it's there. But if the money's there, as long as the bank's open, I can pay rent with it. So that's basically it. It's just we need the bank to get, paychecks and then to pay bills. So that's the point of the bank. That's it. But to store money in it, not anymore, to buy CDs or money markets or annuities or real estate trusts. You can't use Wall Street or the banks for that. You shouldn't be in those. It's really simple. Just be in gold or silver and just let it go up. You're watching Comex manipulate it, but that's not real. That's just all derivatives. When it goes up, they sell, and when it goes down, they buy, and that's how you Eddie Murphy it. I'm selling at 200 and I buy at 100 instead of buying at 100 and selling at 2. So when the price goes down, these guys are making money because they did the sell derivative, the sell option. It goes down. Okay, now I'll buy it. Trading places, they sold at 140 and they bought at 29. They made a fortune because they sold first and then bought. And that's what you're looking at here. That's what you see. So you go, oh, gold doesn't go anywhere. Well, it's about to break that COMEX, and then it'll move because of all the BRICS and all the demand for gold and all the realization that the dollar's hit the iceberg and is sinking. And that's the easiest way to put it. So you can doubt that, but it's the truth. It's the facts. That's what's happening. You can see central banks buying gold. It's not me. You can just see it in the news. And you can see BRICS going on a gold-backed currency. It's, again, not me. I'm just reading it on YouTube channels. So it's all fact, and it's what's happening, and it's what's going to happen. So just be smart with that. Anyway, that's what's going on. I'm going to go check if my check got there. I wanted to wait for the Saturday mail. As long as the check's there, I'll go buy some gold. I have till, I think, 3 o'clock. And that'll be it. So then I'm off to the pool and off to Chinese. My normal Saturday routine. All right. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Good luck on the baseball. Again, the Cubs, 10 unit. Philly over 8.5, 5 unit. Frisco over 8, 5 unit. Atlanta over 8.5, 5 unit. Houston under 7.5. Verlander's going 10 units. San Diego over 8.5, 5 units. The Yankees 5 units, and KC under 8, 10 units. So good luck on those. Do not bet a lot. I don't want to hear, oh, I bet $1,000 a game. I mean, if that's your bankroll, but just baseball's every day. It's related on averages, batting average, earned run average. All these other statistics like OPS are the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Getting players who walk is the stupidest thing. I need RBIs. I need hits. I need guys that hit 300. Guys that hit 180 who walk. There's a big difference between a guy who hits 300 and a guy who hits 180, but he walks. Well, it's totally different things. You're not going to win with guys hitting 180 who walk. I'm noticing that, and I'm laughing my ass off. These guys suck. So don't fall into that. These guys, all these coaches are going to lose their jobs because they're fucking idiots. All right. www.teaserking.com. Have a good day. Enjoy the Saturday. All right. Watch the U.S. Open. I'm a little disappointed. Where's the U.S. Open rough? It's a joke and hard to watch. All right. Take care, everybody.